close your eyes and let me take you on a journey to the other side of the world. Tonight, here on Sleepy City Traveler, we're going to drift together through the electric dreams of Tokyo. Not the chaotic, overwhelming Tokyo of daylight crowds and bright screens, but the Tokyo that exists in the soft glow of vending machines, the Tokyo of silent respect and whispered traditions, the Tokyo that has been quietly reinventing itself for over 400 years. Imagine yourself standing on a bridge as twilight descends over this vast metropolis. The air is clean and still. In the distance, you can hear the gentle hum of the city. Not loud, never loud, but constant, like the breathing of some enormous sleeping creature. The neon signs are beginning to glow, their light reflecting in puddles from an afternoon rain, creating pools of liquid color at your feet. Tonight, we'll explore the spirit of Edo and the forest of neon, the transformation from a fishing village to the world's largest city, from wooden temples to glass towers, from the silence of the imperial palace to the scramble of Shibuya. So settle in, get comfortable, and let your mind drift across the Pacific, back to 1603, to a place called Edo. Our story begins with water, with an estuary where a river meets the sea, where fishermen once cast their nets and pulled their boats onto muddy shores. This place was called Edo, which simply means estuary. It was small. It was unremarkable. It was one fishing village among many scattered along the coast of Japan. But in 1603, everything changed. A warrior named Tokugawa Ieyasu, having unified Japan after centuries of civil war, chose this humble fishing village as the seat of his shogunate. He built a castle here. He brought his administration here. He made Edo the center of political power in Japan, even though the emperor still resided in Kyoto, the traditional capital. And Edo grew. It grew faster than almost any city in history. By the Oivochos's 18th century, it was one of the largest cities in the world, with over 1 million inhabitants. 1 million people living in wooden houses, walking narrow streets, shopping in markets, praying at shrines, creating a culture that was uniquely urban, uniquely sophisticated, uniquely Edo. The city had a personality, a style that the Japanese called iki, a kind of understated chic, a refined coolness that valued subtlety over ostentation. This spirit of iki still flows through Tokyo today, hidden beneath the neon and the crowds, waiting for those who know how to look for it. In 1868, everything changed again. The Tokugawa shogunate fell. The Emperor Meiji took real power for the first time in centuries, and he made a momentous decision. He would leave Kyoto, the imperial capital for over 1,000 years, and move to Edo. And with his arrival, Edo was renamed. It became Tokyo, the eastern capital. Think about that transition. A fishing village becomes a shogun's seat. A shogun's seat becomes an imperial capital. And with each transformation, the city sheds its old skin and grows a new one, but never quite forgetting what it was before. At the very center of modern Tokyo lies the Imperial Palace. It sits on the foundations of the old Edo Castle, the shogun's fortress that once dominated the city. The palace is surrounded by massive stone walls, built with such precision that no mortar was needed. Stone fitted to stone so perfectly that even after 400 years, they haven't shifted. Around these walls lie moats, deep, still moats filled with dark water. White swans glide across these moats, silent and elegant, their reflections perfect in the calm surface. These swans are descendants of birds that have lived here for generations, protected, peaceful, completely at ease in the eye of the urban storm. Most of the imperial palace grounds are closed to the public. This creates something extraordinary. A silent void of forest in the middle of the world's busiest city. You can see the green canopy from nearby buildings, a patch of nature carefully preserved, meticulously maintained, but largely unseen. It's a reminder that some things remain sacred, untouchable, separate from the relentless forward motion of the city around them. Tokyo is the most populated metropolitan area on Earth. Nearly 40 million people live in the greater Tokyo area. 40 million. And yet, this massive concentration of humanity is consistently ranked as one of the quietest and cleanest cities in the world. How is this possible? How can so many people create so little noise? The answer lies in something deeply embedded in Japanese culture, a respect for communal space, a consciousness of others, a belief that your actions affect everyone around you. People speak quietly on trains. They don't play music from their phones. They walk efficiently without shouting or drawing attention to themselves. 40 million people moving in organized, respectful, near silence. But there is a sound to Tokyo, a background hum that exists just at the edge of hearing. They call it the Tokyo hum, a low-frequency drone caused by millions of air conditioners, the massive electrical grid, the subway systems running beneath the streets, the ventilation systems of countless buildings. It's not unpleasant. It's almost soothing, this constant reminder that the city is alive, breathing, working. Let me take you now to Shinjuku Station. This is the busiest train station in the world. Over 3.5 million people pass through it every single day. 3.5 million. Try to picture that number. Try to imagine that many human beings moving through one space in 24 hours. And yet, the crowds move in rhythmic, organized silence. There's no pushing, no shoving, no angry voices. Everyone knows where they're going. Everyone follows the flow. The platforms fill and empty like tides, regular as breathing. Trains arrive every few minutes, disgorge passengers, take on new ones, depart again with mechanical precision. Stand still in Shinjuku Station during rush hour and watch the choreography. It's hypnotic. It's beautiful in its efficiency. Thousands of individual decisions creating one coordinated movement, like a school of fish or a flock of birds, each person maintaining their space, their pace, their quiet dignity. When you emerge from the station into the districts of Akihabara or Shinjuku, you're greeted by neon, miles and miles of neon lights, signs advertising electronics and restaurants, pachinko parlors and karaoke bars, fashion boutiques and game centers. The signs are massive, colorful, bright enough to turn night into day. But here's what makes Tokyo's neon different from other cities: the rain. Tokyo gets a lot of rain, and when it rains, the neon reflects in puddles on the pavement, creating what people call a liquid neon aesthetic. The lights seem to pool on the ground, rippling when someone walks through them, doubling the intensity of color. The city becomes a mirror of itself, sky and earth both glowing with electric light. Photographers love rainy nights in Tokyo for this reason. The wet streets become canvases, the neon becomes paint, and every puddle is a small artwork, abstract and temporary. Tokyo has over 100,000 vending machines. They're everywhere, on every street corner, outside every convenience store, standing alone on quiet residential streets. At night, these machines glow like small lighthouses, their illuminated displays offering guidance in the darkness. And these aren't just soda machines. Japanese vending machines are famous for their variety. Hot corn soup, cold green tea, coffee in dozens of varieties, both hot and iced, sports drinks, water, juice. Some machines even sell umbrellas, batteries, flowers. They operate silently, efficiently, 24 hours a day, never demanding attention, just waiting to serve. There's something comforting about these glowing machines. They're constant, reliable. You could walk through Tokyo at 3 in the morning and find a hot drink waiting for you, glowing softly in the darkness, asking nothing in return but a few coins. The Sumida River flows through the heart of Tokyo, a dark ribbon of water cutting through concrete and steel. During the Edo period, this river was the city's main artery, carrying goods and people, defining neighborhoods and districts. Today, it's quieter, less central to daily life, but still important, still honored. The bridges across the Sumida are lit at night in different colors, each bridge with its own palette, creating a visual journey along the river. These colors aren't random. They're chosen to represent the spirit of old Edo, that quality of iki, that refined coolness. Blues and purples, silvers and whites, the bridges glow like jewelry strung along the river's dark throat. Tokyo has no real center. This confuses visitors who expect cities to radiate out from some central point, some downtown core. But Tokyo is instead a collection of distinct villages, each one absorbed into the larger metropolis but maintaining its own character, its own atmosphere. Shibuya is young and fashionable, full of music and energy. Ginza is elegant and expensive, a showcase for luxury brands. Ueno is cultural, home to museums and a large park. Asakusa is traditional, with its ancient temple and old-fashioned shopping streets. Each district is like a small city within the city, and Tokyoites often identify more with their neighborhood than with Tokyo as a whole. Let's go to Shibuya, specifically to Shibuya Crossing, the busiest pedestrian intersection in the world. When the light changes and the crossing opens, up to 3,000 people step into the intersection at once, coming from all directions, creating a human scramble that somehow never results in collisions. But here's what's remarkable. During the scramble, the only sound is footsteps, the rhythmic scuffing of thousands of shoes on pavement. No one is talking. No one is shouting. Just this soft, collective shuffling as the crowd moves through itself, each person finding their path through the mass of other bodies, and then reaching the other side, stepping back onto the sidewalk, continuing on their way. It's a moment of strange intimacy, being that close to that many strangers, all moving together in silence. It feels almost ceremonial, this crossing, a daily ritual performed by millions, each time slightly different, each time exactly the same. Outside Shibuya Station stands a bronze statue of a dog. His name was Hachiko, and his story has become one of Tokyo's most beloved legends. Hachiko was an Akita dog who would meet his owner at the station every day when the man returned from work. When the owner died suddenly, Hachiko continued to come to the station every single day for 9 years, waiting for a return that would never happen. 9 years of loyalty. 9 years of waiting. The story captured hearts across Japan and beyond. Today, Hachiko's statue is a popular meeting spot, a symbol of eternal devotion, a reminder that love and loyalty transcend death. People touch the statue for good luck. They take photos with it. Some leave flowers. And every year on the anniversary of Hachiko's death, people gather to honor this faithful dog who understood something profound about love and waiting. Much of Tokyo's history was lost to fire and war. The Great Kanto earthquake of 1923 destroyed much of the city. American firebombing during World War II destroyed even more. The wooden architecture of old Edo, those beautiful traditional buildings that had survived for centuries, mostly burned. What rose from the ashes was different, modern, concrete and steel and glass. Tokyo rebuilt itself as a city of the future, letting go of much of its physical past. The result is a city that feels constantly new, constantly evolving, unattached to specific buildings or monuments in the way that older cities are. And yet, hidden between the skyscrapers, tucked into narrow streets and quiet neighborhoods, Tokyo preserves over 4,000 shrines and temples, small ones mostly. Neighborhood shrines where locals come to pray, to make offerings, to mark the turning of seasons. These sacred spaces persist, protected, maintained, creating pockets of the past within the relentless present. Rising above the city like a silver spear stands the Tokyo Skytree, the tallest structure in Japan. It's designed to look like a tripod that gradually merges into a cylindrical tower as it rises. The engineering is extraordinary. The tower can sway in earthquakes without damage, protecting both the structure and the people inside. The Skytree's lighting changes based on the season. Sometimes it glows with a pale blue called Iki, that same refined coolness that defined old Edo. Other times it's illuminated in rich purple called miyabi, a color associated with elegance and refinement. The tower doesn't just light up, it communicates, expressing something about time and season and aesthetic values through color. From the observation decks, you can see the entire city spread beneath you. The imperial palace forest at the center, dark and mysterious. The rivers like silver threads. The neighborhoods stretching to the horizon in every direction. A sea of lights and buildings that seems to go on forever. It's almost incomprehensible, the scale of it. Almost impossible to believe that this massive organism is also one of the world's most organized, most functional cities. Here's something that frustrates and fascinates visitors in equal measure. Tokyo's streets often have no names. Instead of naming streets and numbering buildings sequentially along them, Tokyo uses a system of blocks. Each area is divided into districts, each district into blocks, each block numbered, and then each building within that block numbered. It's logical once you understand it, but for newcomers, it makes the city feel like a maze. Even taxi drivers sometimes get lost. They rely on landmarks, on knowledge built up over years, on GPS more than on any innate understanding of how the addresses work. The nameless streets give Tokyo an air of mystery, a sense that the city resists being fully known, fully mapped, fully understood. Ginza was Tokyo's first modern district. In the 1870s, after a devastating fire, the government rebuilt Ginza with brick buildings and gas lamps, creating a showcase for Japan's modernization. Walking down Ginza was like walking into the future. The wide streets, the Western-style architecture, the bright lights. It symbolized Japan's rapid transformation from a feudal society to a modern nation. Today, Ginza is still associated with modernity and luxury. The most expensive real estate in Tokyo is here. The most exclusive boutiques, the most elegant restaurants, and yet traditional elements persist. Old department stores with kimono floors, tea rooms hidden on upper levels, a sense that beneath the luxury and the glitter, older values still hold. Underneath Tokyo, invisible to most people, lies an engineering marvel. The Jikan's flood water tunnel system is massive. It looks like an underground concrete cathedral with enormous pillars holding up a ceiling several stories high. This system prevents Tokyo from flooding during heavy rains and typhoons, channeling excess water away from the city into the river. You can tour this facility, descending into the earth to walk among these titanic pillars. It feels apocalyptic, ancient and futuristic at the same time, like a temple to water or a bunker for some future civilization. Most Tokyoites have never seen it, never even think about it, but it's there, silent and vigilant, protecting the city from the water that once defined it as Edo, the estuary. Spring comes to Tokyo with the cherry blossoms, sakura. For a few weeks, the entire city is blanketed in pale pink. The trees bloom in parks and along rivers, beside temples and in the imperial palace gardens. The blossoms fall like pink snow, drifting down to carpet the grey pavements, collecting in gutters and floating on the surface of ponds. Hanami, flower viewing, is a cherished tradition. People gather under the cherry trees to have picnics, to drink sake, to celebrate the brief, perfect beauty of the blossoms. It's a meditation on impermanence, on the Japanese concept of mono no aware, the bittersweet awareness of the transience of things. The blossoms are beautiful because they don't last. Their falling is as important as their blooming. Walking through Tokyo during cherry blossom season is like walking through a dream. The pink petals catch in your hair, collect on your shoulders, crunch softly underfoot. The whole city seems gentler, softer, touched by this annual miracle of beauty and loss. At midnight, the last trains depart from Tokyo's stations. This is significant because Tokyo's trains stop running between midnight and 5 in the morning, creating a window when the city becomes different, quieter, more mysterious. The moment after the last train is called the reset. The millions of people who rely on trains to get home have all departed or are stranded until morning. The streets empty. The stations go quiet. And Tokyo, for a few hours, becomes almost peaceful. This is when you see a different side of the city. The cleaning crews emerge to wash the stations, to sweep the streets. The early morning workers begin their shifts. The occasional taxi drifts past. The vending machines glow brighter in the emptiness. And the city breathes, rests, prepares itself for the millions who will return in just a few hours when the first trains start running again. This is the Spirit of Edo, transformed into neon and steel. This is a fishing village that became the world's largest city without losing its essential scenic character. This is Tokyo, organized and chaotic, ancient and ultra-modern, silent and humming. A city that honors its past while constantly reinventing its future. Let the image of the last train departing settle in your mind. Let yourself feel the quiet that descends over the city in those hours between midnight and dawn. And rest here for a moment. Our journey through Tokyo is just beginning. There is so much more to discover in this electric forest of dreams. But for now, let the gentle hum of the city wash over you. Let yourself drift in the spaces between the crowds. Let yourself be still in the heart of perpetual motion. We move now from the electric pulse of the city to its ancient heart, from neon and steel to wood and stone, from the roar of Shibuya to the silence of sacred groves. This is Tokyo's spiritual core, where temples older than the city itself sit peacefully amid the chaos, where gardens create pockets of eternity, where the art of stillness is practiced as carefully as the art of efficiency. Breathe slowly now. Let us walk together through temple gates and beneath ancient trees, across stepping stones and into tea houses, where every gesture is deliberate, where every sound has meaning. Let us discover how Tokyo remembers what it was, even as it races toward what it will become. Our journey into sacred Tokyo begins in Asakusa, at the city's oldest temple. Sensoji was founded in the year 645, which means it predates Tokyo, predates Edo, reaches back to a time when this area was truly just fishing villages and farms. The temple's origin story is beautiful. Two brothers were fishing in the Sumida River when their nets caught something unexpected. Not a fish, but a small golden statue of Kannon, the goddess of mercy. They tried to return it to the river, but it kept coming back to them. This was a sign, a message. The goddess wanted to be here. So they built a small shrine to house her, and that shrine grew over the centuries into Sensoji, one of Japan's most important Buddhist temples. The entrance to Sensoji is dramatic. The Kaminarimon, the Thunder Gate, stands like a guardian, flanked by statues of the gods of thunder and wind. Hanging from the center of the gate is a massive paper lantern, red and white, so large that it weighs over 1,500 pounds. It hangs there, seemingly weightless, swaying slightly when the wind catches it, a miracle of construction and balance. Walking under this lantern, you enter a different world. The shopping street beyond, Nakamizadori, is touristy, yes, filled with souvenir shops and snack vendors. But keep walking, and you'll reach the main temple compound, where a different atmosphere prevails. Before entering the temple proper, visitors stop at the incense burner, the okoro. Smoke rises from this large bronze vessel, thick and fragrant. People fan this smoke onto themselves, wafting it toward their heads, their shoulders, their bodies. This is purification. The smoke is believed to have healing properties, to carry away negative energy, to prepare you spiritually for entering the sacred space. Watch the people performing this ritual. Their movements are gentle, almost tender. They're bathing in smoke, washing themselves in incense. It's a moment of transition between the ordinary world and the sacred one, marked not by words, but by gesture and scent. Now let us travel to a forest in the middle of the city. The Meiji Shrine sits within a massive forested area, and this forest is entirely artificial. It was created when the shrine was built in 1920 to honor Emperor Meiji and Empress Shokan. Over 100,000 trees were planted by volunteers from all over Japan. Think about that. A forest built by human hands, tree by tree, a gift to the spirits of beloved rulers. The trees were chosen carefully, selected to create a self-sustaining ecosystem. And it worked. Today, this forest feels ancient, primeval, completely natural. Birds nest here. Insects thrive. The trees have grown tall and thick. Nature has taken over the human plan and made it her own. The entrance to the shrine is marked by a massive torii gate made from 1,500-year-old cypress wood. Torii gates mark the boundary between the physical world and the spiritual realm. When you pass under this gate, you're not just entering a park or visiting a tourist site. You're crossing a threshold, leaving behind the everyday and entering the sacred. Walk slowly down the gravel path toward the shrine. Listen to the crunch of your footsteps. Feel the temperature drop as the trees close in overhead. The forest surrounding Meiji Shrine is often 3 to 5 degrees cooler than the rest of Tokyo. It creates its own microclimate, its own atmosphere. Mist hangs in the air on humid days. Light filters green through the canopy. The city noise fades to almost nothing. This is sanctuary. This is refuge. In the middle of 40 million people, here is silence and shade and the smell of earth and growing things. Along the path to the main shrine, you'll see rows of sake barrels stacked decoratively. These are kazaridaru, offerings to the spirits of the emperor and empress. Each barrel is wrapped in straw, decorated with the brewery's name and symbol. They're beautiful objects, these barrels, both functional and ceremonial, representing the connection between the sacred and the sustenance of daily life. Let me take you now to a temple that creates one of Tokyo's most striking visual contrasts. Zojoji Temple sits directly next to Tokyo Tower, that iconic orange and white steel structure, modeled after the Eiffel Tower. The temple is dark wood, ancient, low to the ground. The tower is bright metal, modern, soaring into the sky. They exist side by side, neither diminishing the other, creating instead a conversation between eras. At Zojoji, scattered throughout the grounds, you'll find rows of small stone statues. These are Jizo statues, guardians of children and travelers. Each statue is dressed in a tiny red, knitted hat and bib, lovingly made and placed by parents who have lost children. The red clothing protects these small stone guardians, and in turn, they protect the souls of children who died too young. It's one of the most moving sights in Tokyo. Hundreds of these little statues, each one representing grief and hope, each one tended by someone who remembers. The red hats fade in the sun and weather, and volunteers replace them with new ones. The cycle continues. The children are not forgotten. The Nezu Museum sits in the upscale neighborhood of Omotesando, but step inside and you enter a hidden world. The museum's garden is extraordinary. Stone paths wind through bamboo thickets, past ancient tea houses, around ponds where carp swim lazy circles. This garden uses a technique called borrowed scenery, shake in Japanese. Borrowed scenery means incorporating the view beyond the garden into the garden's composition. The gardeners at Nezu have framed distant skyscrapers with carefully positioned trees, making the modern towers part of the aesthetic experience. It's brilliant. Instead of pretending the city doesn't exist, the garden acknowledges it, uses it, transforms it into beauty. The Hapoen Garden is known for its bonsai collection. Some of these miniature trees are over 500 years old. 500 years. That means they've been alive since before Edo became Edo, since before Tokyo was even imaginable, and they've been pruned daily for centuries. Generation after generation of gardeners, carefully trimming, shaping, maintaining these living sculptures. Bonsai is patience made visible. It's the long view expressed in twisted trunk and carefully positioned branch. Looking at a 500-year-old bonsai, you're seeing the accumulated care of dozens of human lives, all dedicated to keeping this one tree perfect, balanced, beautiful. Now let me tell you about the tea ceremony. Chado, the way of tea, is not just about drinking tea. It's a choreographed ritual of mindfulness in motion, where every movement has meaning, where nothing is casual or accidental. The person performing the ceremony moves with deliberate slowness. They fold the cloth just so. They rinse the bowl in a specific pattern. They scoop the powdered tea with precise gestures. They whisk the tea with movements that are practiced until they become muscle memory, until they can be done in meditation, the mind quiet, while the body performs its ancient dance. And it's silent, or nearly so. The only sounds are the rustle of silk, the tap of bamboo on ceramic, the soft swish of the whisk through hot water and tea. No conversation, no music, just the sounds of the ritual itself, amplified by attention, by the focused awareness of everyone present. Traditional tea houses often have a low entrance called a nijiriguchi. It's intentionally small and low, forcing guests to crawl through on their knees. This isn't about discomfort, it's about humility. Everyone who enters must bow, must make themselves small, regardless of their rank or status outside. In the tea house, everyone is equal. Everyone is humble before the ritual. The Rakugian garden was designed as a strolling garden, meant to be experienced by walking a circular path around a central pond. But it's more than just a garden. It's poetry made physical. The garden recreates 88 scenes from famous Japanese poems in miniature. A hill representing Mount Fuji, an island symbolizing the legendary land of the immortals, a bridge echoing verses about crossing between worlds. Walking through Rikugian is like walking through literature, through the collective imagination of Japanese poetry. Each view has meaning. Each stone and tree is placed to evoke a specific feeling, a specific reference. The garden is a text to be read with your feet and eyes, slowly, contemplatively. In winter, Tokyo's gardeners perform a ritual called yukitsuri. They use ropes to create umbrella-like structures over vulnerable trees, radiating out from the trunk to support the branches. This protects the trees from heavy snow that might break their limbs. But yukitsuri is more than practical. It's beautiful. The roped trees look like geometric artworks, like spider webs made of cord, like mandalas hung in the air. The functional becomes aesthetic. The caring becomes art. Kiyosumi Garden features massive stepping stones set into its pond. They're called isawatari, and they allow you to walk just inches above the water's surface, crossing the pond in a zigzag pattern. Each step requires attention. Each stone is slightly different in size and shape. You must look down, place your feet carefully, maintain balance. This mindfulness is intentional. The garden makes you slow down, makes you present. You can't rush across these stones. You have to be here, now, aware of each step, each shift of weight. The journey across the pond becomes a meditation. Throughout Tokyo's gardens, you'll hear a distinctive sound, a hollow clack, resonant and sharp. This is the Shishi Odoshi, a bamboo water fountain designed originally to scare away deer. Water fills a section of bamboo until it becomes heavy enough to tip, spilling the water and causing the bamboo to swing back and strike a stone, creating that characteristic clack. The sound is regular but not mechanical. The intervals vary slightly depending on the water flow. It's a heartbeat of sorts, marking time in the garden, creating a rhythm that connects you to the flow of water, the patience of accumulation, the inevitability of release. Many old temples in Tokyo have special floorboards called uguisubari, nightingale floors. These boards are designed to chirp and sing when walked upon, created by specific joints and nails that rub together under pressure. Originally, this was a security feature, making it impossible for intruders to approach silently. But the poetic imagination of the Japanese couldn't leave it at mere practicality. The floors are called nightingale floors because the sounds they make resemble birdsong. Walking through these temples, you create music with your footsteps. The building sings beneath you. In the quiet Setagaya ward sits the Gotokuji Temple, a place of legend and cats. This temple claims to be the birthplace of the Maneki Neko, the beckoning cat figurine that you see in shops and restaurants all over Japan, one paw raised in welcome. The temple grounds are filled, and I mean filled, with thousands of white ceramic cat statues. They sit in rows, on shelves, on every available surface. Some are tiny, some are large. All have that same raised paw, that same serene expression. It's surreal, this army of silent white cats, all beckoning, all watching with painted eyes. People bring these cat statues as offerings, purchasing them from the temple and leaving them there as thanks for answered prayers. Over the years, the cats have accumulated, creating this extraordinary installation that is both sacred and slightly uncanny. Near Gotokuji is Yanaka, known as Tokyo's cat town. This is one of the few areas that survived the World War II firebombing largely intact, so it retains the atmosphere of 1950s Tokyo. The streets are narrow, the houses are wooden, the pace is slower, and there are cats. Cats sleeping on stoops, cats sitting in windows, cats wandering the alleyways like they own the place, which in a sense they do. Walking through Yanaka feels like time travel. The modern city recedes. You could be in any decade from the past 70 years. The trees are old, the temples are quiet, the cats are peaceful. It's Tokyo at its most sleepy, most village-like, most content. At temples throughout Tokyo, you can draw omikuji, random fortunes written on strips of paper. You pay a small fee, shake a box of numbered sticks until one falls out, and then find the drawer with the matching number. Inside is your fortune, predicting various aspects of your luck. If the fortune is good, you keep it. But if it's bad, you have a choice. You can accept it, or you can tie it to a pine tree at the temple, letting the wind carry away the bad luck. The trees at popular temples become festooned with these white paper strips, fluttering like strange blossoms, each one a rejected fate, a hope for something better. The Hamarikyu Gardens offer something unique, a tea house built on a small island in the middle of a tidal pond. This pond is connected to Tokyo Bay, so it rises and falls with the tides. Sitting in the tea house, drinking your tea, you can watch the water level change, watch the exposed mudflats appear and disappear, watch wading birds arrive to feed when the tide is low. It's a reminder that Tokyo is a coastal city, connected to the ocean, influenced by the moon's pull on the water. Even in the middle of this vast urban expanse, the natural rhythms persist. The tides don't care about skyscrapers or train schedules. They rise and fall on their own time, eternal and indifferent. Kanda Myojin Shrine is over 1,200 years old, one of Tokyo's oldest sacred sites. But it has adapted to the modern era in a uniquely Tokyo way. The shrine sits near Akihabara, the electronics and anime district, and it has become the protector of technology. People bring their computers, their phones, their electronics to the shrine to be blessed, to receive protection from crashes and viruses, to ensure good fortune in the digital realm. It's perfect, isn't it? An ancient shrine embracing new forms of prayer, new concerns, new expressions of hope. The gods, apparently, care about hard drives as much as rice harvests. And now, as the day draws toward its close, the great bronze bells of Tokyo's temples begin to sound. not together. There's no coordination, no schedule. But one by one, as sunset approaches, temple bells ring across the city. Each bell has its own tone, its own voice. Some are deep and resonant, others are higher, clearer. The sound waves travel through the concrete canyons of the city, reflecting off glass and steel, finding their way into subway stations and office buildings, into apartments and shops. For a moment, everyone who hears these bells is connected to each other, connected to the temples, connected to centuries of tradition. The bells are ancient technology, bronze cast hundreds of years ago, still performing their function of marking time, of calling attention to the sacred, of reminding the city that beneath the modernity, the old ways persist. Let the sound of those bells settle into your consciousness. Imagine standing on a Tokyo street as one of these deep, vibrating tones washes over you. Feel it in your chest, in your bones. Let it remind you that this city, for all its speed and efficiency and technological wonder, still makes space for slowness, for contemplation, for the carefully tended garden and the precisely performed ritual, for the forest in the heart of the metropolis and the cat statues on temple grounds. Tokyo practices the art of stillness, even as it moves faster than almost anywhere on Earth. It holds these opposites in balance, the rush and the rest, the neon and the natural, the new and the ancient. And in that balance, it finds something profound, something peaceful, something eternal. Even in the midst of constant change, rest here for a moment among the temple bells and the tea ceremonies, the stepping stones and the borrowed scenery. Let the temperature drop as imaginary trees close in overhead. Let the incense smoke purify you. Let yourself be still in the garden of this electric city. There is more to discover, but for now, breathe slowly. Listen to the nightingale flaws sing beneath careful feet. Watch the cats sleeping in the sun. Be present in this moment, in this place, where Tokyo remembers its soul. We descend now into the hidden layers of Tokyo, into the secret streets and whispered stories that most visitors never see. This is Micro Tokyo, the city of tiny bars and narrow alleys, of master craftsmen and silent cafes, of neighborhoods that feel like villages within the metropolis. This is where Tokyo becomes intimate, personal, almost conspiratorial in its smallness. Let your imagination shrink with me. Let us slip between buildings into passages barely wide enough for two people. Let us duck through Norin curtains into smoky rooms where strangers become friends over sake and grilled skewers. Let us discover the Tokyo that hides in plain sight, waiting for those patient enough to look. Throughout Tokyo, hidden behind the main thoroughfares, tucked between larger buildings, there exist thousands of yokocho, memory lanes. These are narrow alleyways, often only wide enough for two people to pass if they turn sideways, lined with tiny restaurants and bars that seem to have been there forever. Walking into a yokocho feels like stepping back in time. The buildings lean close overhead. Paper lanterns glow red and warm. The smell of grilling meat and simmering broth fills the air. These lanes survived the war, survived the earthquakes, survived the relentless modernization of the city, and they persist as reminders of what Tokyo once was: intimate, human-scaled, built for neighbors rather than tourists. Omoide Yokocho is the most famous of those memory lanes. The name means memory lane, and it earns that name every evening when the yakitori grills fire up and smoke begins to fill the narrow passage. Tiny stalls, each barely larger than a closet, grill chicken skewers over charcoal. The smoke creates a hazy, dreamlike atmosphere, diffusing the light from lanterns, making everyone's faces soft and mysterious. You sit shoulder to shoulder with strangers at these places. There's no choice. The counters are so small that you're intimately close to whoever sits beside you. And somehow, this closeness creates connection. Conversations start. Salarymen on their way home from work talk to students. Tourists share experiences with locals. The smoke and the sake and the proximity break down barriers. In the Golden Gai district of Shinjuku, this intimacy reaches its extreme. Here, you'll find over 200 tiny bars, most of which seat only 4 to 6 people. 4 to 6. That's not a bar, that's a living room. That's a gathering of friends, except half the people might be strangers who walked in off the street. The walls of these bars are often lined floor to ceiling with bottles of whiskey, each one labeled with the name of a regular customer. This is your bottle. You buy it, you drink from it over multiple visits, and it waits for you between times, sitting on the shelf with your name on it. It's a commitment, a way of saying you belong to this place, this tiny room, this community of 6. Many of these bars have themes or specialties. One might be for jazz lovers, another for writers, another for people who work in film. The mama-san or master who runs each bar curates not just the drinks, but the atmosphere, the conversation, the type of person who feels welcome. It's micro-socializing, ultra-specific, deeply personal. Tokyo has more Michelin stars than any other city on earth, more than Paris, more than New York. The culinary excellence here is extraordinary. But here's the thing. Some of the best food in Tokyo is found in quiet, unmarked basements, in restaurants with no signs, in places you'd walk past without noticing unless someone who knew brought you there. This is the art of shokunin, the master craftsman. A shokunin dedicates their entire life to perfecting one single task, slicing tuna, folding gyoza, making the perfect bowl of ramen. They don't diversify, they don't expand, they just work day after day, year after year, pursuing perfection in their one chosen craft. There's a sushi chef in Tokyo who spent 10 years doing nothing but cooking rice before he was allowed to serve it to customers. 10 years. That's the shokunin spirit. That's the dedication to mastery that makes Tokyo's food culture so extraordinary. The Tsukiji outer market, even after the famous wholesale market moved to Toyosu, still thrives with vendors selling dried seaweed, fresh wasabi, gleaming knives, and restaurant supplies. The scent here is oceanic and sharp, a mix of salt and fish and kelp. The sound is the rhythmic thud of heavy knives on wooden cutting boards, vendors preparing tuna and salmon with practiced efficiency. Early morning at Tsukiji is magical. The tourists haven't arrived yet. The light is soft and grey. Steam rises from street food stalls selling grilled fish and rice bowls. The wholesalers move with purpose, conducting business in low voices. Everything understood, nothing needing explanation. This is Tokyo at work. Tokyo feeding itself. Tokyo continuing traditions that stretch back centuries. In Tokyo, when you eat noodles, you slurp loudly. This isn't rudeness, it's respect. Slurping serves multiple purposes. It cools the hot noodles as you draw them into your mouth. It allows you to taste the steam, experiencing the aroma as part of the flavor. And it signals to the chef that the food is delicious, that you're enjoying it so much you can't eat quietly. The sound of a restaurant full of people slurping ramen is almost musical, a rhythm of inhalations, of noodles being consumed with enthusiasm and appreciation. It's community through sound, everyone participating in the same sensory experience. Omoide Yokocho has another name, one that's more colorful and less polite: Piss Alley. The name comes from the fact that these tiny establishments originally had no bathrooms, so patrons would relieve themselves in the alley between drinks. It's not romantic, but it's honest. The alley burned down in a fire and was rebuilt exactly as it was, preserving its post-war Showa-era nostalgia. The cramped layout, the rough wooden counters, the sense of making do with very little space, all of it was intentionally preserved because it represents something important about Tokyo's resilience and its attachment to certain kinds of memory. Let's walk now to Daikanyama, a neighborhood often called the Brooklyn of Tokyo. It's quieter than most of the city, with leafy streets and a more relaxed pace. The T-Site bookstore here is famous, a complex of elegant buildings housing books, music, and a carefully curated lifestyle. People come here not just to shop, but to linger, to browse slowly, to sit with a book and a coffee and let time pass. Many Tokyo cafes are designed specifically for solo living, for the large number of people in this city who live alone and want public spaces where solitude is respected. These cafes feature seats that face windows or walls, individual spaces where you can eat and reflect in peace without the social pressure of making conversation or sharing a table. It's a kind of communal solitude. You're together with others, but separately. You're in public, but private. The cafe provides company without demanding interaction, warmth without intrusion. Kagurazaka was once a famous geisha district, a place of refinement and entertainment. Today, it retains something of that atmosphere in its stone-paved hidden stairs and narrow lanes. Walking through Kagurazaka, especially in the evening, feels like stepping through a portal into old Japan. The modern city recedes. The stone beneath your feet is worn smooth by centuries of footsteps. Traditional restaurants hide behind wooden facades. Somewhere, a shamisen might be playing. Department stores in Tokyo have something wonderful. Depachika. These are massive underground food halls, markets of incredible variety and quality. You can find everything here: elaborate bento boxes, perfectly arranged fruit, imported cheeses, fresh seafood, intricate pastries. The displays are works of art in themselves, each item positioned with care, each presentation considered and beautiful. But here's a secret. Visit a Depachika just before closing time. Many items are discounted, sometimes heavily, to avoid waste. The lights are still bright, the food is still fresh, but the prices drop. It becomes a treasure hunt, finding bargains among the beauty, taking home food that would have cost twice as much an hour earlier. Tokyo is famous for its plastic food models, sampuru. These incredibly realistic replicas of dishes sit in restaurant windows, allowing customers to see exactly what they'll be served. Making sampuru is an art form requiring skill and attention to detail. Craftsmen pour colored wax or resin, shape it, paint it, assemble it into perfect representations of ramen bowls, sushi platters, curry plates. There's something both strange and comforting about these plastic meals. They never spoil. They never disappoint. They're forever fresh, forever perfect, frozen in their most appetizing moment. In the quiet residential back streets of Setagaya, you might encounter something uniquely Tokyo: vending machine cafes. These are small spaces with no staff, just a few stools and several high-quality vending machines offering hot coffee, tea, sometimes soup. You put in your coins, make your selection, sit at one of the stools, and drink in silence. It's automated hospitality. It's convenience taken to its extreme. But there's also something peaceful about it. Sitting in this small, empty space, drinking your coffee, watching the street outside, completely alone but somehow taken care of. Shimokitazawa is the center of vintage Tokyo, a neighborhood of narrow streets and independent shops selling used clothing, vintage records, obscure books. The atmosphere here is artistic, slightly bohemian, favored by students and musicians and people who value individuality over trends. And in Shimokitazawa, you'll find jazz kissers, jazz listening cafes. These are uniquely Japanese establishments where the primary activity isn't conversation or eating, but listening. The owner has assembled a collection of vinyl records and high-quality audio equipment, and customers come specifically to listen. You order a coffee, you sit down, and you listen. Conversation is discouraged. The music is the point. The sound quality is often extraordinary. Audiophile level equipment, carefully maintained records, acoustic treatment of the space. You hear jazz the way it was meant to be heard, with full attention, with respect, in shared silence with others who also came to listen. Tokyo's convenience stores, konbini, are more than just shops. They're a social institution, a safety net, a constant in the city's landscape. They're open 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, bright and clean and reliably stocked. You can pay bills there, use the ATM, buy a complete meal, use the bathroom, pick up packages. There's something deeply comforting about konbini. The steady hum of refrigerators, the bright fluorescent light, the familiar layout. At 3 in the morning, when nothing else is open, the konbini is there, warm and welcoming, and exactly the same as it was at 3 in the afternoon. In the early morning, Tokyo's subway stations fill with a particular scent: freshly baked melon pan, a sweet bread with a cookie-like crust. Small bakeries in the stations begin baking before dawn, and the smell drifts through the corridors, mixing with the smell of coffee, creating Tokyo's signature morning atmosphere. Commuters buy these breads on their way to work, eating them on the train or saving them for breakfast at their desks. The scent becomes a marker of time, a signal that the day is beginning, that the city is waking up. Kappabashi is an entire street dedicated to kitchenware and restaurant supplies. Chefs come here to buy knives, plates, cooking equipment. But visitors come for the atmosphere, for the sheer variety, for the giant statue of a kappa, a mythical Japanese water creature that watches over the street. Walking down Kappabashi is like walking through a museum of culinary tools. Everything you could possibly need to cook anything is here, from the most basic to the most specialized. It's a street that takes food seriously, that honors the craft of cooking with every pot and pan. Here's something that surprises visitors. You will rarely see a trash can on Tokyo streets. People are expected to carry their trash home with them. This practice stems from the concept of omotenashi, mindful hospitality and respect for shared space. Taking your trash home means not burdening others with your waste, not cluttering public spaces, taking personal responsibility for what you consume. And it works. Despite having almost no public trash cans, Tokyo's streets are remarkably clean. People carry small bags for their trash. They plan ahead. They participate in keeping their city beautiful. The Tsukinami Animation Museum is a quiet sanctuary dedicated to the anime culture that grew from small studios in Tokyo's western suburbs. It's not flashy or commercial. It's thoughtful, educational, honoring the artists and animators who created this art form, showing the painstaking process of hand-drawn animation, celebrating the craft behind the cartoons. Many traditional Tokyo homes, the ones that survived the war and the rebuilding, have ngawa, a wooden veranda that runs along the outside of the house. This space acts as a buffer zone between the indoor tatami mat rooms and the outdoor garden. It's neither inside nor outside, but something in between, a liminal space for sitting and watching the garden, for contemplation, for the slow passage of time. Throughout Tokyo, you'll see norin, split curtains hanging in doorways of shops and restaurants. These curtains are a silent communication system. If the norin is up, the shop is open. If it's taken down, the shop is closed. No need for signs or locks, just the presence or absence of fabric, telling you everything you need to know. And late at night, when the last trains have run and the city has reset itself, you might hear the sound of yatai, mobile food carts being wheeled through neighborhoods, their owners calling out softly, offering late-night meals to anyone still awake. Or you might hear the faint whistle of the sober man wandering the residential streets, a tradition from the past that somehow persists, improbable and wonderful, in one of the world's most modern cities. Let these images settle. The smoke-filled alley, the four-person bar, the chef who spent 10 years learning rice, the cafe where you sit alone together with strangers, the plastic food that never ages, the whistle of the sober man in the night, the norin curtain announcing open or closed without words, the missing trash cans and the clean streets they somehow produce. This is micro Tokyo. This is the city at its smallest and most human scale. This is where 40 million people create intimacy, where the massive becomes tiny, where you can find a bar that seats 6 people or a cafe designed for perfect solitude. This is Tokyo whispering its secrets, if you know how to listen. And we're listening now, in the quiet between the crowds, in the spaces too small for tour buses, in the hidden alleys where memory lives. Rest here for a moment in this secret Tokyo, this city within the city. There is one more journey to take, one more layer to discover. But for now, breathe in the imagined scent of yakitori smoke and fresh melon pan. Listen to the quiet jazz playing in a listening cafe. Feel the worn stone beneath your feet in Kagurazaka. Let Tokyo hold you gently in its smallest spaces, its most intimate corners, its whispered revelations. We ascend now to the final chapter of our Tokyo journey. We climb toward the sky, into the realm of observation decks and automated trains, of neon twilight and synchronized lights. This is Tokyo from above and from within its arteries, the city as circuit board and organism, as Blade Runner dream and sleeping giant. This is the megacity preparing to rest and then waking to begin again. Take a deep breath. Let us ride the driverless trains together, walk through fog-shrouded towers, discover the hidden gardens suspended in the sky. Let us witness Tokyo's last train and its profound silence, its neon fading into dawn. Let us complete our circle of this endless, eternal city. The Tokyo Metropolitan Government Building stands in Shinjuku like a cathedral of bureaucracy, twin towers rising into the sky. But climb to the observation decks, free to the public, no charge, and you'll witness something extraordinary. The city spreads before you like a carpet of lights, stretching to the horizon in every direction. seemingly without end. From this height, especially at night, Tokyo looks like a circuit board, a massive, impossibly complex electronic system laid out beneath you. And watch the lights carefully. You'll notice the red obstruction lights on top of thousands of buildings, all blinking in a slow, synchronized rhythm. On, off, on, off. Thousands of buildings breathing together, marking their presence in the darkness, warning aircraft of their height. It's mesmerizing. This slow pulse of red across the cityscape. It makes you realize the scale of what you're seeing. Each light represents a building tall enough to require warning markers. There are thousands of them, and beneath each one, people are living, working, sleeping, dreaming. Now let's ride the Yamanote Line, a fully automated driverless train that loops through the city and over the Rainbow Bridge to Odaiba. Sit in the very front. There's no driver there, just a window giving you an unobstructed view. As the train moves, you're flying through the city, gliding between skyscrapers, emerging onto the bridge high above Tokyo Bay, the city falling away on one side, the water dark and vast on the other. The train makes no announcements beyond the automated station names. It moves smoothly, silently, following its programmed route with mechanical precision. It's a flight through the future, a glimpse of the automated city, where systems run themselves and humans are just passengers being carried through the landscape. Odaiba itself is remarkable, a man-made island built from recycled volcanic soil and urban waste. What was garbage and earth is now land, now buildings, now a district of futuristic architecture and entertainment complexes. And standing guard over this manufactured landscape is a life-size Gundam robot, 18 meters tall, a monument to Japanese popular culture and engineering ambition. The Rainbow Bridge connects Odaiba to the mainland. During the day, it's white, elegant but unremarkable. But at night, solar-powered lamps illuminate it in pink, white and green. The bridge transforms, becomes magical, lives up to its name. The colors reflect on the dark water of the bay, creating a path of light across the darkness. Tokyo's capsule hotels were born from necessity in the 1970s. Salarymen who missed the last train, a common occurrence in a city where work hours stretch late and trains stop running at midnight, needed somewhere to sleep. The solution was the capsule hotel. Tiny pods, just large enough for a person to lie down, stacked like drawers in a morgue, but infinitely more comfortable. Each capsule is a small world. A light, a small TV, a radio, maybe a power outlet, a curtain for privacy, and quiet, or relative quiet. You might hear your neighbors breathing, shifting, but the pods create a cocoon effect, wrapping you in your own small space, separate from the chaos of the city outside. The Nakagint Capsule Tower took this concept to its architectural extreme. Built in 1972, it looked like giant washing machines stacked into a tower, each capsule a self-contained living unit that could theoretically be removed and replaced. It was an example of metabolist architecture, a movement that imagined buildings as living organisms that could grow and change. The building was demolished recently, but for decades, it stood as a monument to a particular vision of the future. Modular, adaptable, embracing impermanence rather than fighting it. It was beautiful in its strangeness, beloved by architecture enthusiasts, a piece of the future that never quite arrived. Tokyo has implemented something subtle but significant on many of its train platforms. Blue lights. These aren't for decoration. Studies have shown that blue LED lighting has a calming effect on people, can reduce anxiety, and has even been correlated with a decrease in suicide attempts at train stations. So Tokyo bathes its platforms in blue, soft, cool, soothing blue. And commuters wait for their trains in this gentle light, perhaps not consciously noticing the color, but affected by it nonetheless. The city caring for its people through design, through thoughtful intervention in the environment. The Yamanote Line is Tokyo's circular lifeline, a train that loops continuously around the city's heart. One complete circuit takes exactly 1 hour. If you ride the full loop, you'll see Tokyo's diversity compressed into 60 minutes, from the electronics chaos of Akihabara to the fashion intensity of Harajuku, from the business district of Shinagawa to the cultural centers of Ueno, and at each station, a different melody plays. These are Hasha melody, departure jingles, designed to be pleasant and recognizable. Each station has its own unique tune, helping tired commuters know where they are, even if they're half asleep. The melodies are gentle, not jarring. They don't assault the ears. They suggest rather than demand. They guide rather than command. Some of these melodies have become beloved, iconic. People recognize them instantly, associate them with specific places and memories. They're part of the soundtrack of Tokyo life, brief musical punctuation in the rhythm of daily movement. Akihabara, electric town. It started as a black market for radio parts after World War II. Vendors set up stalls under the train tracks, selling components salvaged from military equipment, helping rebuild Japan's electronics industry from the ruins. Today, it's transformed into a neon wonderland of electronic stores, anime shops, maid cafes, and gaming centers. The neon signs here are so bright, so numerous, that astronauts have reported seeing Akihabara from space. It glows like a beacon, this concentration of commerce and otaku culture, visible from orbit, a testament to human capacity for creating light and noise and energy. Tokyo Tower stands orange and white against the sky, inspired by the Eiffel Tower, but actually 13 meters taller. The orange is officially called International Orange, chosen for aviation safety, ensuring the tower is visible to aircraft. It's become one of Tokyo's most recognizable symbols, even though the newer Skytree has surpassed it in height. On foggy days, the kind of thick fog Tokyoites call pea soup, only the very tip of Tokyo Tower is visible, floating above the clouds like a lighthouse in a sea of white. The rest of the city disappears. The tower becomes a beacon for the lost, a point of orientation in the disorienting fog. At Roppongi Hills, guarding the base of the Mori Tower, sits Maman, a 30-foot-tall bronze spider sculpture. She's massive, imposing, her long legs arching over the plaza, creating a space beneath her body where people walk, somehow both threatened and protected by this enormous, arachnid mother. Maman carries eggs in a sack, a detail that transforms her from monster to protector. She's maternal, despite her size and her nature. She watches over Roppongi Hills with the patience of something ancient, something that has seen much and judges little. Tokyo's skyscrapers hide secrets. Many have sky lobbies, gardens and observation areas on the 10th or 20th floors, far above street level. These spaces are often open to the public but unknown to tourists. They're refuges for office workers on lunch breaks, quiet spaces where you can sit among plants and look out over the city, elevated above the noise but not so high as to be completely removed. These gardens exist in the middle space, neither ground nor sky. They're liminal, transitional, perfect for contemplation. The sound of the street doesn't reach this high. The wind is different here, cleaner, cooler. You're suspended in the city, part of it but apart from it, and beneath your feet, the building sways. Tokyo's modern skyscrapers use seismic isolation technology, giant rubber pads or fluid dampers that allow the buildings to move during earthquakes without collapsing. Stand in one during a quake, and you might feel the building sway. A slow, gentle movement that can be unsettling but is actually protecting you. The buildings dance with the earthquake rather than fighting it. They're flexible, adaptive, designed to survive by moving. It's a philosophy made architectural, strength through flexibility, survival through accommodation. Shinjuku Golden Gai is tiny. Just 6 narrow alleys containing about 200 establishments. But these alleys have history. Famous writers like Yukio Mishima drank here. Film directors like Akira Kurosawa held court in these cramped bars. Artists and intellectuals made Golden Gai their second home, creating a bohemian culture that persists today. The buildings are wooden, fragile, vulnerable to fire, which has destroyed the area multiple times. But each time it rebuilds, faithfully recreating what was lost. Golden Gai refuses to modernize, refuses to grow, refuses to change. It's a deliberate preservation of smallness, of intimacy, of a way of drinking and socializing that the modern city wants to erase. On Love Hotel Hill in Shibuya, fantasy becomes architecture. Buildings shaped like medieval castles sit next to structures designed to look like spaceships. The hotels glow in soft neon pinks and purples, advertising their services discreetly, offering privacy and escapism to couples who want a few hours away from reality. These buildings are absurd and wonderful, each one trying to transport you somewhere else, to Europe, to the future, to a fairy tale. They're earnest in their fantasy, serious about their playfulness, and they're uniquely Japanese. This blend of discretion and flamboyance, privacy and spectacle. In Tokyo's subways, despite the crushing crowds during rush hour, there's a sound of silence. Talking on cell phones is strictly forbidden. It's considered deeply disrespectful to subject others to your conversation. So, people text instead, or they simply sit or stand in silence, lost in their thoughts, maintaining the collective quiet. This creates an eerie effect. Thousands of people packed into subway cars, and almost no one is talking. Just the sound of the train, the announcements, the occasional rustle of a newspaper, or the soft beep of someone's game. It's a communal commitment to peace, to respecting others' mental space, to keeping the public realm as tranquil as possible. Inokashira Park contains a peaceful lake where you can rent swan boats during the day, but visit at night and you'll see something special. The neon signs from the surrounding area reflect on the dark water, creating a shimmering, ever-changing light show. The swans rest, the boats are docked, and the water becomes a mirror for Tokyo's electric soul. In the Ebisu district, the local train station plays a unique departure jingle, the theme from The Third Man, that haunting zither melody. It's an odd choice, this. Austrian film noir music in a Tokyo train station, but it's become beloved. Locals recognize it instantly. It's home, encoded in music, announcing departures with a touch of melancholy and romance. Tokyo's taxis have a small luxury that visitors often don't notice until they try to open the door. The driver controls the doors remotely. They open automatically when you approach, close automatically when you're seated. You never have to touch the handle. It's a small thing, but it's representative of Tokyo's approach to service, anticipating needs, removing friction, making every interaction slightly more graceful than it has to be. At midnight, the last trains depart from Tokyo stations. This is called the Shuden, the last train, and there's a unique culture around it. A midnight rush as people scramble to catch the final departure, to avoid being stranded until the first morning trains at 5 a.m. And then, after the last train leaves, a profound quiet falls over the city. The flow of millions of people stops. The station's empty. The platforms go silent. It's like the city takes a breath, releasing the tension of the day, settling into a different rhythm. The people who remain, those who missed the last train, move differently, slower. They're in a different Tokyo now, a quieter one, a city revealed only between midnight and dawn. In Ueno Park, if you walk through in the early morning hours, you might see the blue tarps. This is where some of Tokyo's homeless population sleeps, their belongings carefully organized, their small spaces maintained with the same tidiness that characterizes the rest of the city. Even in poverty, even in displacement, the cultural value of order persists. The city tolerates this presence with a kind of uncomfortable compassion. The authorities don't forcibly remove these people, but they also don't provide adequate services. It's a visible reminder that even in Tokyo's efficiency and prosperity, some fall through the cracks. And yet, even here, there's dignity. The tarps are neat. The spaces are clean. Pride persists. And now, as our journey through Tokyo comes to its close, imagine standing on one of those observation decks as the sun begins to rise over Tokyo Bay. The neon lights, which have been glowing all night, begin to fade. Not all at once, but gradually. They become less necessary as natural light returns. The city transforms from electric to natural, from neon to mist. The buildings that were silhouettes against the night sky gain dimension and color. The bay, dark all night, begins to reflect the pale gray and pink of dawn. The millions who are sleeping begin to wake. The trains, silent since midnight, prepare to run again. Tokyo resets. The eternal city of the East begins its rhythmic dance all over again. The salarymen put on their suits. The students gather their books. The shopkeepers roll up their shutters. The vending machines continue their quiet vigil. The trains start running. Their departure, jingles playing station by station as the Yamanote Line begins another endless loop. The city that never quite sleeps wakes fully. The city that respects silence begins to hum again with purposeful movement. The city of 40 million individuals somehow moves as one, coordinated without central planning, organized through shared understanding of rules and rhythms and respect. Tokyo is a miracle, a city that shouldn't work. Too many people, too little space, sitting on a fault line that regularly produces devastating earthquakes, but does work beautifully, efficiently, with grace and dignity and attention to detail that borders on the spiritual. From fishing village to shogun's capital to imperial city to megacity, Tokyo has reinvented itself repeatedly without losing its essential character. The spirit of Edo persists in the yokocho alleys. The tea ceremony's mindfulness appears in the jazz kisses and solo cafes. The gardens provide stillness in the chaos. And the neon, that electric forest of light, creates beauty from commerce, poetry from advertising. As the sun rises higher and the last of the night fades, Tokyo becomes fully itself once more. The circuit board comes alive. The crowds flow like water through the stations. The vending machines dispense their quiet comfort. The temple bells will ring. The cherry blossoms will fall. And the city will continue. Eternal not through permanence, but through constant renewal. Through its willingness to change everything while holding on to what matters most. Here on Sleepy City Traveler, we have wandered from the imperial palace moats to the neon canyons of Akihabara, from ancient sensoji to automated Yurikamome trains, from the microbars of Golden Gai to the observation decks touching the sky. We have discovered a city of contradictions that somehow isn't contradictory at all, silent and humming, ancient and futuristic, intimate and massive, peaceful and electric. Thank you for walking these streets with me. Thank you for riding these trains, for sitting in these gardens, for listening to these bells and departure melodies. Thank you for seeing Tokyo not just as buildings and lights, but as a living expression of human ingenuity and care, of respect and resilience, of the eternal desire to create beauty and order from chaos. May you sleep as peacefully as Tokyo sleeps in those few hours between the last train and the first. May you dream as vividly as the neon signs and as quietly as the temple grounds. And may you wake tomorrow with the memory of this journey still warm in your heart, ready to continue your own adventure wherever it may lead. Good night, traveler. Good night, Tokyo. Good night, eternal city of the East. Sleep well in your few hours of rest. Dream well beneath your circuit board of stars. And when the first train runs and the sun rises over the bay, begin again your beautiful, rhythmic, endless dance. Oyasumi nasai. Rest well beneath the neon and the stars. The eternal city will be waiting when you wake, ready to welcome you home.